Comments in C programming. In C programming, comments are used to add notes and explanations to your code. Comments are ignored by the compiler and do not affect the execution of the program. There are two types of comments in C. Single-line comments. These comments start with 2 forward slashes, and continue to the end of the line. Everything after the slashes is ignored by the compiler. Single-line comments. These comments start with 2 forward slashes, and continue to the end of the line. Everything after the slashes is ignored by the compiler. This is a single-line comment. Multi-line comments. These comments start with a forward slash and an asterisk, and end with an asterisk and a forward slash. Everything between the start and end markers is ignored by the compiler. Asterisk. This is a multi-line comment. Using comments in your code is a good practice. It makes it more readable, understandable and maintainable. Comments can be used to describe the purpose of a function or a block of code, to explain complex or tricky sections of code, or to indicate areas that need further work or testing. Functions in C programming. In C programming, functions are used to organize and structure code. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. Functions are defined by keyword, function, followed by its name, parameter list, and a block of statements. Once a function is defined, it can be called, invoked, from other parts of the program to perform its task. The basic syntax of a function in C is return underscore type function underscore name, parameter list. Function body. Return underscore type. It is the data type of the value that the function returns. If the function does not return any value, then the return type is void. Function underscore name. It is the name of the function. Parameter list. It is a list of the type, name and number of the parameters that the function takes. If the function takes no parameters, the parameter list is empty. Functions can also be passed parameters and can return values. A function can take one or more parameters, and it can return one or more values. When a function is called, the values of the arguments are passed to the parameters of the function, and the function can use these values to perform its calculations. Here is an example of a simple function that takes 2 integer parameters and returns the sum of them. Int sum, int a, int b. Return a plus b. Closing curly bracket. In this example, the function is named sum. It takes 2 integer parameters, a and b, and it returns an integer value which is the sum of a and b. Functions help to make the code more modular, readable, and maintainable. They also enable code reuse, which can save time and reduce the likelihood of errors. Learn about pointers. In C programming, pointers are a fundamental concept. A pointer is a variable that holds the memory address of another variable. Pointers are used to manipulate the memory directly and are commonly used in low-level programming, such as operating system development and embedded systems programming. To declare a pointer, you use the asterisk operator before the variable name. Here is an example of a pointer declaration. Int x equals 5. Int *ptr. ptr equals and x. In this example, x is an integer variable and ptr is an integer pointer. The ampersand operator, and, is used to get the memory address of the variable, so the assignment ptr equals and x assigns the memory address of x to the pointer ptr. You can also use the dereference operator, asterisk, to access the value stored at the memory address held by the pointer. This is called dereferencing the pointer. Int x equals 5. Int *ptr. ptr equals and x. Print f, %d, *ptr. This will print 5. Here, *ptr dereferences the pointer and returns the value stored at the memory address it holds, which is 5. Pointers can also be used to dynamically allocate memory using the malloc and calloc functions, and to deallocate memory using the free function. Pointers can also be used to pass arguments to functions by reference instead of by value, which allows the function to modify the original value of the argument. It's important to understand the concept of pointers and their proper usage. It can be tricky and can cause bugs if not handled properly. Also, it's important to always initialize the pointer variables and to check for null pointers before dereferencing them to avoid undefined behavior. Arrays in C programming. In C programming, arrays are a fundamental data structure. An array is a collection of elements of the same data type, stored in contiguous memory locations and accessed using an index. To declare an array, you specify the type of its elements and the number of elements it can hold, enclosed in square brackets. Here is an example of an array declaration. Int a5. In this example, A is an array of 5 integers. You can also initialize an array at the time of declaration. Int a5 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can access the individual elements of an array using the array name followed by the index of the element in square brackets. The first element of the array has an index of 0. Int a5 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Printf %d a3. This will print 4. Arrays can also be multidimensional. For example, a two-dimensional array is a table of rows and columns. Here is an example of a 2D array. Int 3, 4 equals 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. Closing curly bracket semicolon. Arrays are useful for storing large amounts of data and for performing operations on multiple data elements at once. However, the size of an array must be specified at the time of declaration, and it cannot be changed later. If you need to store a dynamic number of elements, you can use other data structures such as linked lists or dynamic arrays. It's important to keep in mind the size of the array when accessing the elements. Accessing out-of-bound elements can cause undefined behavior. Learn about structures. In C programming, structures are another important data structure. A structure is a user-defined data type that can hold a collection of variables of different data types under a single name. Structures are used to group together related data and to organize complex data in a logical way. To define a structure, you use the struct keyword followed by a name for the structure, and a list of variables enclosed in curly braces. Here is an example of a structure definition. Struct point int x int y closing curly bracket semicolon. In this example, point is the name of the structure, and it has two integer variables x and y. You can create a variable of this structure type by using the struct keyword and the structure name. Struct point p. You can also initialize a structure variable at the time of declaration. Struct point p equals 1, 2. You can access the individual members of a structure variable using the dot operator. Struct point p equals 1, 2. Printf %d p x. This will print 1. Practice problems. Here are some simple programs to practice C programming. Hello World. This is the most basic and classic program. It simply prints, Hello, World, on the screen. Addition of two numbers. This program takes two numbers as input from the user and prints the sum of them. Factorial of a number. This program takes a number as input from the user and prints the factorial of the number. Fibonacci series. This program prints the Fibonacci series up to a given number. 5. Addition of two matrix. Here is an example of a program that adds two matrices in C.